Hey everyone, my name is Vivek, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about the most important thing that you must understand before opening a company in the UAE. Now, there are many different steps to opening a company in the UAE, but before you complete this first step or understand everything I'm talking about in this video, I do not suggest you go ahead. Now, I've been running my company in the UAE since 2017, and I've opened my first company in this country back in 2014. Since then, I've actually opened multiple companies, and everything I'm going to talk about in this video is my personal experience. So I'm talking about jurisdiction within the UAE. Now, you might think that the UAE as a country is one jurisdiction, but that is not the case. There are different emirates within this country, and each emirate has, broadly speaking, two jurisdictions. The first jurisdiction is what's called a mainland company. The second is what's called a free zone company. And the way you operate your company and the way you source your income really impacts your choice in this regard. So what are these jurisdictions? Well, let's begin by talking about the free zone companies first. So free zones really are special economic zones that the government has set up, and they used to give you a whole host of benefits, which I'll talk about shortly. From a legal standpoint, free zones can be either set up entirely by the government, or they can be a partnership between the government and a private entity. So say, for example, I have a bunch of money to invest. I can approach the government, I can lay out a business plan, and I can get into partnership with the government and open a free zone wherein I issue business licenses to other entrepreneurs such as yourselves watching, basically small businesses, entrepreneurs from around the world. Now, I'm actually simplifying the process of setting up a free zone immensely, but basically that's what they are. Free zones are very helpful, or they used to be very helpful because they offer a whole host of benefits. One of the biggest benefits that free zones used to offer was that they did not require any local sponsorship when opening a company. For example, when I opened my company in the free zone back in 2014, I did not need a local UAE sponsor. I owned the company 100% outright. So of course, you keep all the profits, you keep all the revenues, etc. You don't really answer to anybody. Many free zones in the UAE also do not have many corporate reporting requirements, although that is changing, which I'll talk about shortly. But this used to be an advantage back in the day because it just reduced the administrative expenses of running a company. Free zones had another advantage, which has greatly reduced these days, which has to do with taxes. When I opened my company back in 2014, I was told that there was a guarantee that the free zone will remain tax-free for at least 50 years. And free zones, even to this day in the UAE, they promise this particular advantage. However, there are many caveats to it now that corporate tax has arrived in the UAE. I talk about all of this in a separate video because it is a very involved topic where in this other video, I've broken down how to evaluate free zones and how to choose a free zone that is right for you. There are many factors involved, basically where you're sourcing your income from, who you do business with, and also the amount of oversight that you would like on your business. So free zones in a nutshell are very good for people who are sourcing their incomes primarily and only from abroad. If you want to do business within the UAE, say for example, you want to source goods from abroad and sell physical goods to companies based over here, a free zone company is not going to work for you. In that case, you need to go to the other jurisdiction, which is a mainland company. A mainland company or the mainland area refers to anything that is outside the free zone. So, for example, a shop that is not in a free zone designated area is a mainland business. Now, in the past, the government used to mandate that every mainland company needed to have a local sponsor. That is a local citizen, a person who has the family book based in the UAE. This person needed to have majority equity in your company, amounting to 51%, and you as the foreigner would own 49% of the equity. Doesn't sound like a great deal, which is why the free zones existed in the first place, to give entrepreneurs another option. These days, however, the government has changed the rules of sponsorship, and what happens is that you do not need a sponsor anymore for several activities if you're opening a mainland company. So in essence, the mainland is open for business and you can set up your company in the mainland without giving up any equity. However, mainland companies do come with their own, I don't want to say headaches, but they do come with certain caveats. For one thing, mainland companies and free zone companies, the costs are relatively the same. In the past, this used to not be the case. Mainland companies used to be cheaper. The business licenses were a lot cheaper compared to the free zone. However, these days the costs are relatively the same, and mainland companies versus free zone, there's not much of a difference in that regard. The biggest difference, however, comes when it comes to choosing a bank account. Mainland companies, simply put, find it a lot easier to open bank accounts with the local banks in the UAE and also just operate banking facilities within the UAE. Now, again, this is a very intricate topic because we're dealing with an entire country's banking system and the ground realities of it. So I've created another video about that where I've discussed this in detail, links in the description. But for now, just understand that if you have a mainland company, you will find it somewhat easier to open a bank account. Again, it's not guaranteed, but it will be easier compared to a free zone company. The downside of opening a mainland company right now is that depending on your business activity, you might still have to give up equity to a local, or you might also have to set up an office, which of course costs money. And given the way real estate prices work in this country, setting up an office is pretty expensive. So if you're looking to set up a company that is pretty cheap and is quick and easy to operate, a mainland company might not be the best choice for you. The bottom line is, before opening a company in the UAE, you need to understand the differences between mainland versus free zone and understand the implications of that for your business. In a nutshell, if you were to ask me, based on my experience, if most of your income is coming from abroad and you're not interested in conducting business physically within the UAE, setting up a free zone company is far better than setting up a mainland company. There are advantages to setting up in the mainland, but at the end of the day, given the way corporate tax is playing out in this country and the way reporting works in this country, there's not that much of a difference. A free zone entity still gives you a little more protection because you will never have to give up equity to anybody else unless you choose. So those are the differences in a nutshell. If you'd rather read about all of this, I have a detailed blog post published, link in the description, so check that out. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching.